Hey, Araceli, I forgot to start the recording. We are doing 3, 5. I'm not going to go through this first example again, but we talked about how when you are solving for the zeros, here is the things that you can do. We are right here in completing the square. We're trying to figure out how to complete the square. We did this first example. We're going to go to the back side, which is a similar example. It's not anything different. And so we'll do this one together, okay? So solving quadratic equation, this one's going to have irrational roots, okay? Which means they're not going to come out nicely. It's going to be okay. It's not going to come out nicely, though, like 7 and -3 did, okay? So here we have this guy. This piece, here's my original. This piece right here is a simple trinomial again. Actually, it's a perfect square trinomial if you want to know. 14, 144. I want to multiply to give me 144, but when I add them, give me 24, right? So multiply to get 144, add to get 24. Sienna just said it. Or she's like cheating and looking at the steps below. No, you weren't. Okay, that's fine. X plus 12 and X plus 12, right? Positive 12 and positive 12. So then I can write that as X plus 12 squared, yeah? X plus 12 squared. Now at this point, I take the square root. Square root, okay? The square root of X plus 12 squared, Square root of X plus 12 squared is just X plus 12, and the square root of 192 is, don't forget the plus and minus. Okay, now, 192 does not come out perfectly, so we do one of these. What goes into 192 that you can take the perfect square root of? 64 and 3. And if I take the square root of 64, I get 8 square roots of 3, right? Okay, so that's how they broke him down to that second step, right? Then, at this point, if I'm trying to get X by itself, I'm right here. I'm trying to get X by itself. I need to kick the 12 to the other side, so I subtract 12, and they write the 12 first. They do negative 12 plus minus 8 square roots of 3. And that is all. Oh, they write it actually as a decimal. I'm going to have you leave your answer like this. Whoop. Negative 12 plus minus 8 square roots of 3. Okay, now, what that means, though, is negative 12 plus 8 square roots of 3, which is a decimal number, and negative 12 minus 8 square roots of 3, which is a decimal number, okay? It's still going to be the places where he crosses here and here on your x-axis, but they're just going to be ugly decimal places instead of ones that come out nicely. Got it? Okay? All right. Shall we do, I'm going to skip example 3. Can I do that? Yep. That was the square root property, okay? All right, next thing. They're getting us kind of ready to complete the square. Let's go down to this problem, and I'm going to change it, and I'm going to say 10 instead of 7. Can you change that 7 to a 10? Minus 10. All right? This is example 4. Example 4, we're completing the square, okay? Or starting to complete the square, getting ready to complete the square. I'm going to change that 7 to a 10. So we've got x squared minus 10x plus c. Okay, they want us to find out what c will have to be. Ready? This is going to be a simple trinomial. Got it? And I want to be able to break him down into 2 pieces so that I can write him like this squared. Okay, so I have to multiply to get c, which I don't know what c is, and add to get 10. So what 2 numbers give me add to get 10, and we'll multiply to get c, whatever c is? 5, right? Okay, so let's say you say like 8 and 2 will add together to give me 10, right? I want them to be the same number, right? Okay, so Zach is right, it has to be 5. 5 plus 5 will give me 10, but I want it to be negative, so you're right, negative 5, right? So what I have right here is x minus 5 and x minus 5. You see how that works? Negative 5 and negative 5 gives me negative 10. Okay, now what would c be in that case? 25. Is it positive 25 or negative 25? Positive 25, because negative 5 times negative 5 will give me 25. So c is 25. Right. We got it. All right, and then I can write it as x minus 5 squared. Those are my 2 pieces that I need. Okay, they say find the value of c, then write the expression as a perfect square trinomial. Those 2 things that I've circled is what they want. Okay, I want to find the value of c, and I want to find that perfect square. Got it? Okay, good? Si, senora. All right, should we do solve by completing the square? All right, so this is full-blown. I wish they left me like a blank here and they didn't put anything down. I'm going to put them over here. I know, but then you can't write. All right, I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put him over here so I can use my own steps. So we've got x squared plus 18x minus 4 equals 0. Okay, put him over there because we're going to do our own steps. I don't like the way that they do theirs a lot of times. Okay, all right, you ready? This is full-blown, completing the square, 100% all the way through. All of the baby steps leading up to this were just like every piece that we needed, okay? So if you're going to write down steps, I'm going to put them up here. Step number 1 is get the x's on the left and the number on the right. Okay, that's what we do for completing the square. We put the x's on the left and the numbers on the right. So by x's, I mean x squared and this 18x. So I have to kick the 4 to the other side. I'm going to put plus 4 and plus 4. Got it? I'm going to add the 4 to the other side. So after step number 1, I've got x squared plus 18x. I'm going to leave some room, and I'm going to say equals 4. Do you see where I get the 4 to the other side? That's step number 1. X is on one side, number on the other. Got it? X is one side, number on the other. Okay, now, step number 2 is find C. Okay, just like we just did. I need to find that value of C, or find the blank, right? I need to find what goes in that blank that I have there. This is like my plus C guy, okay? So just like we just did, I want this thing to break down into 2 pieces. This guy is a simple trinomial, and I want to multiply to give you C, but when I add them, give me 18, right? What 2 numbers add to give you 18?
9 and 9.
9 and 9. Is it positive or negative? Because I want it to be positive 18. So plus 9, okay? That way I can write it as x plus 9 squared, okay? Now, if that's the case, then what will C be? 81, right? 9 times 9 is 81. Now, here's the deal. This is the new part. 81 is your value of C. That's what goes in that blank. But here's the deal. Here's my equal sign, and I have like a balance right now. If I add 81 over here, this side is going to be heavier, right? This guy is going to be heavier on this side. So if I add 81 over here, guess what? I got to add 81 over there as well, right? In order for it to stay in balance, I've got to add 81 over here to make this 85. Do you see that? Equals 85, okay? You got it?
Yep.
So we find C, step 3, add C to both sides. Okay? And then step 4, which is the last step, we do the square root property. Like the first example and second example that we did, okay? We've got to 85 on the right side. We're doing the square root property, and here we go. What do?
Square root of both.
Take the square root of both, okay? The x plus 9, he just falls out of there. Does the square root of 89 come out nicely? No. Can we take something out of the square root of 85? What? 85. Did I say 89? I'm sorry, 85. Does 85 come out nicely when you take the square root?
No.
No, so let's break him down. Does he break down?
Nope.
No? It doesn't? So we just leave him as the square root of, sure.
It doesn't break down.
Let's leave him as the square root of 85, but we need to have
Plus or minus.
plus minus, okay? Plus minus, and then what?
At minus the 9.
Minus the 9. Can you minus the 9 from the 85 that's inside of there?
No.
No. So how do we write the answer?
Negative equals negative 9.
X equals, we put the negative 9 first, plus minus the square root of 85. And that's going to be my 2 places where he crosses, right?
What if your B value is odd?
What if your B value is odd?
Yeah.
Then you're going to have decimals.
You're gonna have decimals.
Decimals. Yeah. I might have given you like 1 or 2 of those. I think we have to do one of those next, maybe.
Chemicals.
She gave us a decimal.
Yep. You got to do that on this one.
She gave us 2 of them with decimal.
Man, oh man.
She gave us decimal.
Wait, is there more examples or is there?
There's not one.
Decimal.
Completing a square.
You gave us one that's gonna be a difference of squares too.
What?
These are boring.
Please go to the homework.
Go to example 8. We'll complete this square quick.
22. Go to 22 on the homework.
Yeah.
Let's go to this one. Example 8. And then we'll do 22 together. Okay? All right, so this guy over 3 here, 3x squared minus 72x plus 465 equals 0. Okay, here's what we're starting with. This is example 8. Okay, this is the last example, and then we'll do a homework problem, and then we'll be done. Okay? All right, this guy. The first step is to get the number on the other side. So subtract him. 3x squared minus 72x. And I leave a little bit of room. Equals negative 465. And then I leave a blank over there. Now, here's the problem. One more thing. I have a number in front of this x. We divide everything by 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Everything gets divided by 3 that's already there. Okay? So now we just have x squared minus 24x. I'm going to leave that blank there. Equals negative 155. Yeah? I'm going to leave a blank. Okay? So that's what we have now. Questions as to how we got to that point? We subtracted the number over. We divided everything by 3. Now we're ready to go. So I want to be able to break this guy down into 2 pieces so that I can write him like that. Okay? So I want to multiply to get this number c right here. C is a number. And I want to add to give me 24. What 2 numbers add to give you 24 that are the same number? X minus 12, x minus 12. Okay? So if that's the case, then 12 times 12 gives you c, and that is plus 144, okay? And I'm going to add 144 to this side as well, right? Because if I add it to one side, I've got to add it to the other. All right, now I do
199.
x minus 12 squared equals, what is that?
199.
299.
No.
This one's negative, this one's positive.
Negative 1. No,
No,
negative
negative
11.
11.
Negative 11, there you go. Now we're on the right track, okay? All right, now at this point, I do the square root, right? The square root of this guy just makes him fall out. X minus 12 equals, what's the square root of negative 11?
Can't.
You can't.
So it's negative 11. It's
The square root of 11,
minus
I. Okay, make sure the I is outside of the parentheses, but we need also, before we add the 12, plus minus. We need plus minus in front of the 11, right? Now we add the 12. Plus 12, plus 12, okay? So x equals 12 plus minus, square root of 11, I. Now, hold on. What did we just find? What does this tell me?
They don't touch.
Where the zeros are. But the zeros are imaginary. So that means
They don't.
he's not going to touch, right? He's going to be something like this. Whoop. Okay? You didn't need to graph it or anything, but like I'm just telling you, like that's why we get I as an answer, is because he's not going to come out nicely. Yes, Trevin?
Could it be 12i plus or minus the square root?
You want to keep the I with the 11, so you could move the I to like this spot, but don't put him with the 12. He needs to be behind the plus and minus part. Good question. Okay? All right, let's do a homework problem. Which one?
22.
22, is that the odd one?
Yeah.
22. Right here, 22. Okay? All right, this is just finding the value of C, right? Okay? This is a simple trinomial. I want to know what I can multiply together, give me C, but when I add them, give me 5. Okay, what 2 numbers add together to give you 5? 2.5. So 2.5 and 2.5.
Number 28.
We can do them both.
Okay, so this guy is x plus 2.5 squared. And that's one of my answers, but then I have to find what C is. How do you find C?
You gave us 4 of them that are like that. You know that? You gave us 4.
2.5 times 2.5. What's 2.5 times 2.5? C is 6.25. So that's one of my answers. 6.25 is what C is, and then x plus 2.5 is my other answer. X plus 2.5 squared. That's how I do that. Okay?
No, can we do so now you do hold up. We're done. Why don't you give us all the
That's all you have to do for that one. For that one.
Wait, is that all you do for 20 and
That's all you do for 20 and 24. You're just finding C, and then you're finding what this little bloop is right here. You're finding that little bloop guy. And then what C is. Okay?
Number 28.
Do number 28. 28 is an odd one as well. Okay? Okay, because the thing is, okay, this is full blown completing the square. All right.
No, it's
What do we do first on 28?
and 24?
Identify. It's a simple trinomial.
He's a simple trinomial kind of, yeah, but we're completing the square.
Put the 6 over.
We got to move this 6 over. Add the 6, add the 6. So x squared plus 3x leave a little bit of room, equals 6 plus blank. Okay? Completing the square is completing the blank. I always tell my trade kids that. Completing the square is like completing the blank. So you can remember how to complete the square. Okay?
X plus 1.5.
All right, I want to write this as 2 blubbles so I can write them as like a little bloop there, right? What do I multiply to get this C value, but when I add them give me 3? 1.5. 1.5 and 1.5 give me 3, right? Okay, so that's 1.5 squared. Okay?
Equals
Now, what is 1.5 times 1.5?
2.25.
2.25. If I add it there, though, I have to add it to the right side. Okay, so that will be 8.25. He's just chilling. Do you see how we get 8.25? Okay. All right, now what? Square root. I'm just going to leave it as a square root of 8.25. I'm not going to pop him out. X plus 1.5 equals, but we need,
An I.
He's
Or
not
plus
negative.
minus.
we need plus minus. Okay. And then what?
So it's,
You subtract.
Subtract the 1.5. Can you subtract 1.5 from 8.25? No, because he's trapped inside. X equals.
Negative 1.5 plus or minus the square root of 8.25.
There you go. It's the same steps. It's just with a negative, or with just with an odd number in decimals.
That's hard.
Okay. How was that?
Good.
Lots of stuff. You try it. We'll do it tomorrow if you're stuck. Okay. I'll come look at it. Okay. All right. Goodbye, RSLE.